My name is Darren Hupke, and this is Pixels and Polygons, part of the Soundstone Network. Welcome to a new episode of Pixels and Polygons. I am Darren Hupke, the host of the show. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back and checking out another episode. Hopefully this is another entertaining one for you, and I appreciate you for coming back week after week. If you are new, it's a simple pitch. I sit down with a guest each week and I ask them a video game related prompt or question, and we talk about it. It's 20 to 40 minutes or so each episode. This can stem from topics like what's a underappreciated or below average game you love that doesn't get enough attention, or what is your history with video games? When did you start playing and when did you fall in love with them? Or why do you play the games that you play? It could be a lot of different things. The conversations can go in a lot of different directions, but the point is just to have a great and thoughtful conversation that maybe sparks your own ideas or your own interests as a listener to think about your own responses, and hopefully just have some fun along the way. If you like what you hear and you want to support the show, I've got a few different ways you can do that. I have links in the show notes below to everything that I do, and I'll highlight one of those in particular. Pixels and Polygons Quarterly is, as you guessed it, a quarterly magazine about retro video games. It evolved from my retro gamezine project. Instead of covering a single game in a month, it is now a quarterly release where I cover a few different games in each issue. There's an overarching theme with every issue, and I'll have an original essay that ties all of the games together. But in addition to that, you'll have individual game histories and development details, personal experiences from all the different writing contributors, scans of magazines, manuals, artwork, even of the era, like reviews, a lot of details and artifacts if you are a fan of those games or a fan of the games in that era. The goal is to highlight and cover games that maybe aren't the AAA top 10 of all time type games, but games that deserve some attention and maybe forgotten and maybe a whole new generation should discover and enjoy. So hopefully you enjoy what you read. Quarterly release, you can find them on pixelsandpolygons.net in a physical format, or you can find them over on my Patreon in my digital store. A few different options for you, so check those out. Links in the show notes below. With that out of the way, we can start the episode right after an ad from one of our Soundstone Network partners.
Listen to Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. Hosts Gooey, McKenna, and friends flashback to the 90s and early 2000s with a look at the Nintendo 64's catalog and its contemporary cultural and historical context. Starting with the console's launch titles and proceeding in release order, we discuss classics like GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Star Fox 64, as well as some not-so-beloved games, lesser-known titles, and everything in between. Along with game-specific deep dives, we also cover other bits of pop culture from the time, like films, music, and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Pixels and Polygons, a conversational podcast about video games. I am Darren Hupke, as expected, and I've got now returning guest, still fresh guest, but returning guest, Shawn from Memcard.Art. Welcome back to the show, Shawn.
Thank you.
We talked about the website and kind of how you do it, and a little bit of the what and the why on the last episode. It was the average game or that you love that you don't get enough attention. So listeners, you can go back a few weeks and probably listen to that if you haven't listened to it already. And also check out Memcard.Art. But to ask you a little bit more about the website, do you have a favorite memory card icon or one that just stands out and surprises you, from its style or its design?
There's one, and I'm not going to be able to remember the name of it. It's like also probably a very obscure Japanese horror game of some kind. I think it's similar to like The Grudge or The Ring, like that kind of era of influence from Japanese horror. And it's I don't know if they're traditional, but the alternative Japanese toilet where it's the kind that it's like the trough that you squat over. It's just like a porcelain bowl that's in the ground. It's one of those. And the memory card icons are only 3 frames. So the first frame is just that on a black background. And then the next 2 frames are a hand coming up from out of it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's airy in like 3 frames of animation at 16 pixels by 16 pixels. Like just that sequence of images. I'm like, I already get it. Like, this game's going to try and scare you from like every angle, including popping out of the toilet to grab you.
Yeah. They're,
so that one, that always sticks out. Yeah.
I like the animated ones. I didn't realize they're only 3 frames, but that makes sense because they are just like little, quick flashes and, jump cuts in a very quick loop.
Very little space to work with.
Yeah. And then the size of them, like what is the resolution on those? It's not 256 by 256. It's like a quarter of that, isn't that? Or isn't it a much smaller size?
It's 16 by 16 originally.
16 by 16.
I don't post any at 16 by 16. The smaller version that I do is 32 by 32. And then the bigger one is 256, which I think at 256, like you kind of like some of them, you can lose track of like what even the image is. The 32 by 32 is like smaller on most screens. And you can kind of like, okay, now I'm like, I've moved my head away from this and squinted a little bit. Now I can see it's like a panda bear or something.
Yeah, it's fun to have, some games like really put effort into it. And then other games, it's just like, like even like an odd item, like it just doesn't make any sense. You're kind of like, wait, what were they thinking for that? Or did they just forget that? Is it a placeholder image? Like, I'm not sure, what that is. I don't understand the rhyme or reason for that. Some people like took it seriously and some people, didn't quite enjoy it as much maybe, but
right.
It's always fun to kind of see some of these ones.
You can probably guess that Japan took it more seriously, cramming as much animation and character as they could into those like tiny little 3 frames than most North American or like North American developed titles did.
Yeah. And then
there's plenty of good ones from North America. I'm not dumping on them, but
sure. Yeah. There's some like the SmackDown games and like even like Warzone and Attitude, just having it being like the WWF logo. It's almost like they could have just shared it amongst the developers. Just like, oh yeah, this is all we did. Nothing complicated. You can just recolor this line here or something like that. There's not a huge variety to them. But then others are, really neat. Almost like how do they get the image to compress down that much and still be somewhat recognizable? I don't know, but that's the magic.
Yeah,
but fun. Okay, well, thanks for coming back though. It was fun chatting with you last time. Again, if you didn't listen to the last episode, it is in the feed. You can kind of go back and scroll back there. You want to get into an icebreaker and have some fun?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I like asking this one. This one maybe you need to think about a little bit more. But what is one of your favorite mini games or game within a game? So not necessarily like the primary mechanics of the game, but something maybe you do on the side or something that's just like an inset within the game itself. But do you have anything that jumps out to you that you've enjoyed?
Oh my gosh, yeah, give me a minute.
Yeah,
within a game.
Yeah, it can be something big, be something simple. I mean, the easy answer, you can just say any of the mini games from like WarioWare. In 3-second increments, those are fun. But could you extrapolate on any of those? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, let me scroll through this pre-filled list of every game I own for a second. Games. Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of the go-to. Like when I hear mini game, that's like my head just goes to WarioWare anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of something different. You know what? For as many times as it's been done over and over again, does the lock picking in Fallout games count?
Oh yeah, I would say so.
Okay. I guess that's more like a mechanic at this point, but
it's a simple thing, but like, I mean, you're still like, even especially when you're like feeling out for the rumble and, not wanting to break it, you need to know when to go left to right and everything. Yeah. There's design to that. Yeah.
Yes. There's a lot of good tension just in that, moving it around. Am I going to waste one of these lock picks or bobby pins or is a guy coming up behind me right now that I thought wasn't going to come around the corner?
Do you play the Fallout games as someone with like charisma and like doing the alternate, like less brute force path? Is that why you have lockpicking skill, or is that just in general, just kind of speaking?
Yeah. Like sort of the when you're asking about warrior or mage, and I said like the roguish type character, it's always that. Like I always like the sneaking around, the lock picking and hacking over like the charisma and speech checks and stuff. So yes, I've done lots and lots of lock picking in Fallouts and Skyrims.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Yeah. The other options are always like fishing games, Breath of Fire and Legend of Zelda and, all the games that have a fishing side game. But yeah, lock picking then that's a good choice. That's cool. We have, I discussed about retiring the this or that's in the last one. The way I release episodes, I don't know if I'll actually have gotten rid of them or not from the last episode, but maybe we still should do some. Would you want to do a few more this or that's then? And as I work behind the scenes to create some new ones and freshen up the list and everything, we can still hit some of the unasked this or that's.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Mario Tennis or Mario Golf?
Definitely golf. I am atrociously bad at tennis games, and at least at golf, like you can take as many shots as you want to get to the hole. There are some PlayStation 1 tennis games, like every time one comes up that I'm like, I have to play through this and find like 10 different memory card icons. Oh my God, this is going to take forever. So definitely golf.
Interesting. Yeah, tennis does have a lot of more mechanics than you'd think, with lob shots and drop shots and backspin and even just the rules of the game itself. They can get interesting, but I love both those. Get good or easy mode?
It depends. I think I'd probably lean towards easy mode anymore. Like I'm definitely more prone to knock a difficulty down than to turn it up, but there was definitely an era where I would crank it up a notch or two and be like, these modern games are too easy for people. I need this to be a little bit harder. Come on. But not impossibly hard. I'm never the like Iron Man mode, one and done, one hit kill type of difficulty. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it's just kind of a sliding scale depending on the game. Like if I feel it could be a little harder, or if this is going to be way too much, I'll knock it down.
Gotcha. Medieval or sci-fi?
Sci-fi, definitely. I'll take a generic sci-fi setting over a generic or even like pretty good fantasy setting. I think weird aliens and technology and weird guns or gadgets and stuff are always a little more interesting to me than varieties of swords and spells and kind of medieval monsters.
Fox or Falco?
Don't have a lot of not. I was going to say not a lot of love, but I don't. They're both fine. Probably Falco. He's a little cooler.
It's got the attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, then Samus or Master Chief?
Oh, Samus for sure.
Okay.
She's just way more interesting, even in as little character as there is there.
Yeah,
most of the time.
With both of them, yeah. The mute helmet space hero.
Yeah.
Let's see. Animal Crossing or Elden Ring?
I'll say Elden Ring. I definitely have loved Animal Crossing, but I've played way fewer Souls-like games than Animal Crossing-like games. So I had my fill of Animal Crossing, I think, over the decades. I think it's been decades. And so, Elden Ring, definitely. I spent like over 200 hours just exploring that game. I never finished it because finishing it wasn't what I was really there for. I just loved crawling around that world and getting killed by at least once by every single type of enemy.
First person or third person?
Either. I probably would tend to go third person. But if a game's first person, it's not gonna. I don't immediately go in and be like, all right, how do I pull the camera out on this? So, yeah, I probably have a pretty good split of games I like in both styles.
Okay. But if you had to pick a this or that, you would lean.
Oh, yes,
slightly.
This or that. I would lean towards third person.
Okay. Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi?
Any one of any of those, or are we talking overall?
Just, yeah, in general vibes, you know? I mean, yeah, because this has also been asked where it's like just 2D only or 3D or the entire franchises. You know, what am I looking at here? You can delineate it however you'd like.
Oh, man, even delineating it however I want, I'm having a hard time. Ninja Gaiden, the Xbox Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black were so good. Shinobi 3 is also very specifically one of those games that like I could play blindfolded and without throwing ninja stars. Like it's one of the few games that like I have really in my head. I think I'm still going to go with Ninja Gaiden though. Like just as a whole. Okay. I mean, I played most of the NES ones. I think I probably finished one or two of them. But yeah, I enjoyed those also. I have definitely enjoyed more Ninja Gaiden than Shinobi games over the years. So I will reluctantly say Ninja Gaiden.
Okay. Last one here. We'll say Daytona USA or Ridge Racer.
Oh, that's a good one. Ridge Racer. For the music, for the number of them that I've played. And I think I like the drifting in Ridge Racer better than the handling of Daytona, I guess. Yeah, it's not a big drifting game.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. There's some this or that's. But I'm actively working behind the scenes on creating some new ones. So maybe we'll just keep it going. Maybe my scare of the last time we recorded will be for nothing, and we'll just kind of keep it going. Keep it part of the show. We'll see.
I look forward to hearing them.
Yeah, I mean, it's my show. I can do what I want, so we'll keep them here. I'll override previous Darren's decision to maybe think about phasing them out, and they'll stick around. We'll just make more.
You're gonna go back and redact that out of the podcast.
No.
Just put a big bleep in.
Yeah, warts and all. It's gonna live there. It's just Darren in that moment, which was at the time of this recording 30 minutes ago. But from the time of listening weeks ago. But yeah, we're overriding that. We're changing my mind. But this week, or for this episode, this question's been asked a few times, but not as much as the last question. So I'm excited to be able to ask this one because this is a fun one. This isn't necessarily saying like, hey, tell us one of your favorite games, or tell us, a game that you love that doesn't get enough attention. Like, this could be kind of from anywhere. But what is a wow moment you've had in a video game? So, whether that's like the technology, the experience, the first time feel of it. I mean, you can kind of define this, as you'd like, but tell us about a wow moment you've had in a video game, and what game was that from, and tell us a little story about it.
Right. This was the first probably handful of times, like the first playthrough of the game as an air raider in Earth Defense Force 2025, which was released in 2014. At the time, 2025 seemed like a way distant future. Even though it's the sixth game in that series, and I've played some of most of them, it was mostly like you were either just a dude on the ground with like a machine gun or a rocket launcher or hand grenades, or a little bit later, you could be a pale wing, or what they later called a wing diver, which is like a lightly armored female character that has a jetpack. So that's also very appealing. Like the first time you play as that class and are flying around this game where you had previously like been super slow moving and on foot, that in itself is a wow moment. But by the sixth game, they had introduced two new classes, and the one called Air Raider is still a guy running around on the ground, and he has some guns to use. But the major thing, the big difference, the thing that makes it a wow moment is you can call in airstrikes, like carpet bombing and stuff, like, and you're watching it all from the ground. So you have this, you'll either like, there's a few different ways you can call them in. So you'll have like the camera will zoom back a little bit so you can kind of see the spread of the city out in front of you. And that, if you're not familiar with Earth Defense Force, it's usually a lot of giant ants or spiders or roly-poly bugs. Because that's kind of all that they do is you're fighting giant insects or robots a little later on. So the camera will pull out and you see this like red, like a line, like kind of a grid, and you can kind of move it and position it, you know, like you want to get it in a position where it's like, oh, these like 15 ants are all coming right at me. I'm going to put it right here in front of them. And then you hit the button, you get some radio chatter, and then you can actually look up and see like the planes fly across and they just carpet bomb like right in front of you. And I think even in EDF 2025, they had pretty good lighting, but the lighting has gotten better and better in each iteration. And so like they'll hit the ground, they make these huge explosions that the ants and spiders are exploding into pieces. And you're still just this dude on the ground that was like watching it from just on the ground. So it was a revelation at the time, and it is still something that I can, you know, just smile and be like, yeah, we wiped out like 100 ants just now. And one of the other, so most of those are like a directional thing, like it's a path that some planes will fly on and just gun down a bunch of guys. But there's also some space lasers that you can call down and you can guide them like with your little crosshair gun. It's just like a laser pointer with your laser pointer. And so you can call those down and they'll last for like up to a minute. And so you're just like drawing this path on the ground and this laser from space is just beaming down like 5 feet from you. And you're just like melting through ants and spiders that are swarming in at you. And typically the lady who's on the voice chatter for that one is really into that laser. She has some really amazing dialogue about how they treated it as the finger of God, and that's why the government doesn't let us use it very often. And it's just some amazing stuff that like the audio, the effect, the explosion of enemy parts in front of you, it just all comes together. And every time still, I'm just like, this is just so great. Like no other game does this kind of weapon.
Yeah, that's really cool. I played a ton of 2017, the Earth Defense Force 2017.
Yes.
And I mean, that was my first exposure to like the series and everything. I had been a fan of like the Dynasty Warriors games, like from the PS2. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, mindlessly slaughtering through, you know, dozens and then hundreds of enemies and all that stuff is always a good time to me. But yeah, when I discovered Earth Defense Force, the 2017 at the time, like that was like awesome to kind of like play through that. And I remember that was one of the few games I've like had my wife play like co-op through with me as well. And, you know, replaying the levels and finding some, you know, weapon drops that, you know, hopefully get you stronger and everything, or change up your style at least and everything. It was always interesting. And I always wanted to spend and come back to the series and spend more and more time. 2025, I do remember buying, but like, either I was waiting for her to like play with me, but like there's something about it, like I didn't invest my full like time into it and everything. And then when I came back to try and play one of them, it had like those that flying class and all that stuff to be able to kind of do that thing. I felt like really intimidated to try and do that because I was worried like, oh man, is the game just getting more complicated? I'm not prepared for this and everything. So I've not been able to go back to that series and like spend as much time as I did with that first one on the first one to me on the 360. But they sound fun. I mean, they're always fun. Like, yeah, like just hordes of just those giant ants crawling over a building and barreling towards you, or, you know, fighting like those giant spaceships on stages and having to shoot them out of the sky and everything. Like it's just a good time. And
that's true. That's the other thing with like the Air Raider class. And even I guess the Wing Diver, the one with the jetpack, like people say it's, you know, just, you know, they say, oh, well, that's just one of those mindless fun type of games. But like the Air Raider, like I like that you do have to eventually, like if you're playing on the harder difficulties, you definitely have to use all of those things, all their weapons and call-ins and stuff, like pretty strategically, or you're just going to get wiped out because you're like some of the the bombing runs and stuff, like you have to wait up to 3 minutes before you can use it again because it can be so powerful. So there's a really good balancing act in do I use it now or do I save it, wait till they get closer, or wait till the next wave?
What attracted you to that series? Like, when did you first discover it? Like, did you play that when it was new at the time, or is that something you went back to later on?
I think I probably didn't know anything about it until that 2017, till it came out in North America. Because that was definitely our first, me and my wife, first time playing it also. And we would play it split screen at the time, and now we play them all co-op, like side by side on separate TVs, on separate PlayStations or Xboxes or computers, so we can still see each other and talk to each other. But yeah, I think that's 2017 was probably definitely the first one I played, and probably the earliest that I knew about it.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I think that was the first one in the US. Then, I mean,
yeah, the PlayStation 2, I think it's the original. Yeah, because it started on PlayStation 1 as a very early, almost different kind of thing. The PlayStation 2 one, I think, is when it took off more in Japan, and then that one got ported or brought to Europe, with like British accents on everybody and everything. And I think I've only seen a little bit of that one and been like, oh, this is super weird. Looking back that far, seeing it, with way different voice acting. And on PS2. Yeah.
And then I do remember, I think that the 360 one, essentially, because it took those PS2 like assets and engine and was able to like, not overdo it and add more enemies on screen and things. I think that's why it was as like charming and interesting, because it was just like, overdone. Which is really kind of cool. But I think I remember it being released at like a budget price too. I want to say it was only like maybe $40 or cheaper even.
It was definitely cheaper.
But that also just made it cool to buy. It's like, I'll give this thing a shot.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, back when like there were, there were still that like B tier of games, where you could be like, yeah, I'll take a shot. I'll take a chance on this for $30 or $35 or 40.
Yeah. So do you still play the series then? It sounds like you do, with your wife.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we bought Earth Defense Force 6 on Steam, which I don't normally do computer stuff. But I think it was on sale by at the time. We started it and played a little bit, and I think we got distracted by other newer, bigger games. And just recently, like the last few months, we decided to like really get back into it, and we've been working through it on like normal difficulty, and now I think we're still going through normal as the different classes. So we usually try and play like one of us will be one class and one will be the other, and we'll play through the whole game, and then we'll start it over as a different class for each of us, because there's like completion for doing every mission with every class. And it's always the goal that we're going to go through with all 4 classes, and we never do more than 2 of them before we're like, okay, we love Earth Defense Force, but even we've played too much Earth Defense Force for this year.
Yeah, even thousands of enemies is enough. So that's good to hear then. I think that maybe that's one I should check out, or maybe at least put on a wish list to catch it on sale or something like that, because I have a good time with those. There's a
lot of content in that one. And a lot that's kind of like revisiting things. Like if somebody wanted to just get into one, honestly, like Earth Defense Force 4.1 might have been our like favorite of the series. Like it polishes up enough stuff, like with lighting and effects and performance. And yeah, I think it basically refined the EDF 2025 that introduced the air raider and the other class that's a fencer. And I think that might be more my favorite one, but that's probably like a time and place, like that's where I was when I felt like it hit its peak.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, yeah, still I want to maybe check one of these out again. Maybe I can convince my wife to start playing again, and she doesn't play very many games. Every now and then one will catch her interest, and she'll give it a shot. But EDF just chanting EDF with the little soldiers on the ground and shooting some bugs. It's always a good time. Okay. Yeah. I'll have to seek that out, and I'll see if I can, even reacquire that same weapon you're talking about, and then get that see if I can feel that same impact there myself.
Yeah.
But cool. That is a fun share. I love taking a trip down memory lane for myself, even remembering that. I mean, I can't believe that 2017 came out in 2006, nearly 20 years ago. Getting old. But those are some fun times. So thanks for the chat, Shawn. I appreciate you doing this again, and have a good time answering these questions. So definitely, I would love to invite you back on for a future episode. So you've got my list of questions. If you ever want to come back in, you shoot me a message, and I'd love to chat again. Do you have anything you'd like to plug or share or promote or anything before we wrap?
I'll just say the same thing again. Memcard.Art on Blue Sky, or Memcard.Art on the internet. We'll take you to the actual site if you just want to look through the icons. But on Blue Sky, I try and post like one thing every day that's a video of a memory card icon or some kind of fun offbeat. I think if you listen to both of the episodes I'm on, you can probably kind of tell the kind of weird stuff that I'm into. So there's a lot of clips of random stuff from the PlayStation library that isn't just the mega hit titles that everybody has already lived through.
Yeah, it is fun. And I mentioned it before, but you have a nice little animation to it as well. It's not just sharing a static image, but you've got a nice little, UI and presentation to it all.
Many hours have gone into making that template for those videos.
Yeah, those are fun. So give Shawn a follow, check out Memcard.Art, and enjoy the content, and dig into some of the fun trips down memory lane you can have with some of those classic PS1 memory card icons, save icons. But thank you again, Shawn. So I look forward to chatting with you more in the future. All right, you have a good one.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby, along with other adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth, well-researched look at a Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience playing Kirby games, creating Kirby-related content, and working in and around the video game industry. I'm Shawn Douglas. I'm a theater and video game journalist.
And my name's Bridget. I'm an online Kirby commentator and collector.
Our team also includes photographer and Nintendo ambassador Kai Captain Dangerous Parker, and Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Wick Kirby. Join us for deep dives into Kirby's history, interviews with industry professionals, and even inside looks at Nintendo, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. You can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.